Hey everybody. Um, I decided I'm gonna tell my story. I think it's about time. Uh, yeah. Um, all right. Where do we start? Day one, August 17th, 1992. I, David Benjamin Ketelsen, was born. Was born at home, on a mountain in California, Northern California. Um, my first memory is being born. Um, I can remember exiting my mom's bowels and trying to take my first breath, yet I can't. I can't. And then I just remember this feeling like, oh my gosh. And then I took my first breath. Okay. That's all I remember about that. Um, I didn't remember that until my mom told me, the story about it. And also, I was born apparently with a spirit of rejection on me. Um, I still don't really understand what that means. My mom and her best friend Terry are the ones who told me that, but I'm not sure what that means or what, you know, like. And the reason that I had a hard time, or I couldn't breathe right away, is because I had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck and I was choking on it. But I was born at home with a midwife, and yeah, anyways, they saved me. Thank God. And so right there, it just shows you that the enemy has always wanted me dead. Most definitely. He's always wanted to kill me. Um, don't really know why. But hey, now I do. Anyways, so it's my first memory. Uh, then, next is a dream. In that dream, it's just a black background, and then there's me, and I'm flying around these what looks like rocket ships, and it's just like like outline like stick figure rocket ship, like nothing, like not it's like an animated dream. Okay. And in that dream, it's the rocket ships, and there's several of them. I still am not sure how many. Sometimes I want to say four. Sometimes I want to say six. Um, I'm not exactly sure, but might be seven. Who knows? But I always try and find the number of how many, like it matters, but I still haven't figured it out. But in that dream, I'm flying around the rocket ships, and the rocket ships are just they're set, and they're getting ready to take off, and they're like, and they're like building up, and the fires underneath are building up. And I'm just flying around them like, oh my gosh, take off already. Like, take off. And I just kept wondering, are they ever going to take off? Where are they? Or why aren't they taking off? I mean, and I remember feeling like what I would definitely call anxiety and and just this anxious feeling, like, oh my gosh. And then boom, I wake up. They never take off. And yeah. So then when I wake up, I see at the end of my bed a light. It's very vibrant, very, not just a normal light, a light of many colors. It's just beautiful. At the end of my bed. And then I was really scared. And I got out of my bed and I ran to my parents' bedroom. And then I told my mom, told my dad. And my mom sent me back to bed. I remember going in there and I was really scared. But when I did, I wasn't scared, or it wasn't in there. And I was scared going back in, but then once I laid back down in my bed, I wasn't really scared anymore and I felt comfortable. And I went back to bed. Okay. So then, that was that. That's my memory. So then, let's see. Next thing I remember is, let's see, probably going to, yeah. So my parents went to church one night, or were gone. And I don't know where they're at, or like, I don't know if they're gone for a long time or what. Or maybe they just ran an errand, or maybe they're even outside. I don't know for sure. But I think they were gone because I was scared. And it was nighttime, so I don't think they were outside. Um, but I remember my older brothers and sisters, they took me and they locked me in the bathroom and they tied me to a chair with like socks and tied my hands and legs to a chair and stuffed a sock in my mouth in the bathroom. Then they shut off the lights and they closed the door and they were like scaring me, making scary noises and going, ooh, and all these things. And I remember being so scared. I was so scared. And like I remember seeing things in the bathroom with me, like demonic things. I was so freaked out and all I could do is like I wanted them to help me out of the bathroom and all I could do is see like the shadow of their feet underneath the door and I wanted them to help me, but I couldn't even scream because I had the towel in my mouth and I was so scared. So that's another thing that happened. Um, Another memory is I remember one day I was picking my nose and eating it. And my brothers and sisters were telling me how so gross it is. They're right. Gross. But I was doing that. And so then I went and hid. I hid under a blanket. And it was like a knitted, handmade blanket. and it had holes in it. And I was just sitting under the blanket then. And I'm just like this. Just because, like, I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to pick my nose and eat it by myself. and so they're like, we can see you picking your nose and eating it. And I was just so sad. I'm like, just let me pick my nose and eat it by myself. You know, just let me do it. So yeah. And I do remember, like, I could still picture it, like, Lion King was playing. Lion King was my favorite movie. I always watched Lion King. Lion King was the So I watched that. That was really good. Let's see, what else? So then there was a time where let's see. Here, we'll stay on memories with my siblings. I always wanted to follow my siblings around and, you know, do what they were doing. Because they were doing fun stuff. And they're always hanging out with the neighbors up on the mountain and just, like, you know, doing awesome stuff outside. And I really just wanted to be like them and hang out with them and kick it with them. So I was always following them around. One time I remember watching them all ride their bikes down the steps of our porch and then get out of there. And I was like, ooh, I want to do that. So me on my training wheels, I rode my bike and I get to, and I remember being scared and I'm like, oh, whatever, I'm going for it. And then I fell and I fell and hit my head on a rock down at the bottom and I cracked my head up. I'm pretty sure the rock was stuck in my head. And then I remember Mom and I think Kathy gone. They butterfly band-aided my head after that. Butterfly band-aids were the go-to. Except for the one time where we had a metal playground set, like just a metal one. And so like a swing set with a slide, I think, and monkey bars. And I remember outside with Ashley gone. She was watching me and I was doing the monkey bars, and I remember I was trying to show off for her. So I was always trying to show off for you, Ashley. I don't know why, but I was going really fast, and at the end I missed the last one, and I like didn't get it good enough. I slipped, and I let's see if you can still see it. Oh, yeah, kind of, not really. That's weird. I have a big scar right down here. It's weird you can't see it in the camera. But and I slipped and I there's a bolt sticking out on the playset and I just laid my whole leg open. It was like nasty, completely laid open like this. And then I remember somehow making it up to the house, and Ashley must have told my mom. I don't know, but I remember going up, and I'm out on the porch, and I'm like, Mom, and like I was in shock, like I didn't even realize what, like I wasn't even crying, and my mom opened the door and saw what happened, and she slammed the door and screamed, and then she came back out and yeah, like took care of me or whatever. And then following that, later that day, they or later or like probably shortly after, um, yeah, we went to. I remember sitting in the front seat with Mom because I don't know, I had a towel wrapped around my leg, and Mom's like, "Okay, yeah, you're gonna get stitches. Is what she told me, and I was like, what are those? And I was like freaking out. I'm like, no, let's go back home. I don't want to get, because she told me what it does. They take a needle in the string, and I'm like, that's gonna hurt. So I didn't want to go, but we still went to the hospital, and I remember they gave me this orange juice, and they're like, okay, so drink this orange juice, and you're like, and then you'll go to sleep, and it'll be all done. I remember drinking the orange juice and whatever was in it, like, uh, like. What were they giving me then? Like some painkiller or something, probably. Because I remember waking up in the middle of them stitching up my leg, and I just watched them do the whole thing, and I couldn't feel it though. And I was just like, this is cool. This is actually pretty sweet. So they stitched up my whole leg. And so then, what else we got? Um, so this is all things that happened in Grass Valley, California. Okay, actually, here's something that happened in Santa Cruz. At Santa Cruz at the pier, we all went to the beach, and um, we got out of the car, and I remember I found $1, or so I thought, and mom. And I picked it up, and I was so excited. I'm like, I found $1, and I was so good. And the whole family just got out. And then mom claims that it was. She's like, I don't know. I think it was a 20 or something, but I'm almost positive it's $100 bill. And regardless, 20, 100, whatever. That was really cool at the time. And my brothers and sisters were all mad, and but that's actually really um, relevant. So, like, just remember that happened. For my whole story, just remember that I found that money on the ground and I picked it up because it's relevant to a lot of things. So I remember, I don't know if this was the same day at the beach. I remember being out there, and my cousins Todd and Lisa came out, and we were out on a boat, out in the ocean. I remember it being real choppy, and I remember I had to pee, or I think I had to poop, and they like, I didn't tell them though, and I was like, they're like, just go stand on the ladder on the back of the boat and go pee. And I'm like, no, I was freaking out. And I think it was because I had to poop. But yeah, they were all just like, go. And I'm like, no. So that happened. But that day, I remember I'm sitting up on the beach, and I'm digging my legs in the sand. I'm just sitting there having a good old time. And that day, all of a sudden, a high tide comes up and just drills me. And I remember that was the first time that I ever swallowed salt water from an ocean, and it just drilled the heck out of me, and it like covered me, and it brought a bunch of sand up, and I was like, I felt like I was about to die. But yeah, that's what happened. And then, but I didn't. It was fine. It was just got drilled by the high tide. Um, what else? So back to the house up on the mountain. Uh, we had a dog named Roscoe. Half German Shepherd, half pit. I don't really know or remember. We had a rabbit named Bunny Buckskin. that lived in this little house hut thing out on the backside of our house. Um, there was snakes and rattlesnakes everywhere. I remember two occasions when I found some. I found a rattlesnake out. Me and Jasmine, my little sister, so she had to be like 2 years old. We were out walking around. We made it out back somehow, and there was a big old rattlesnake out back. And I remember mom wasn't home, and usually she took care of the rattlesnakes. She killed them, but for some reason she wasn't home, so we told dad, and dad's scared of dad don't like snakes very much, and so I remember me and Jasmine stood back and we watched dad, and dad took a shovel and he went over and killed it. And yeah, that was my first experience watching a snake being killed, which is one of my favorite pastimes. And then also, I remember I was like right behind our house. There was a couple houses up on the mountain than us, and there was a board like under, and I remember lifting a board, and there's a corn snake in there, or like one of those red, black, gold, yeah, a corn snake, I think. Um, so chilling there, and but I got away, like it didn't bite me or anything. Um, I also remember, let's see, out on oh yeah, it was a rainy day, and I followed my brothers and sisters uh out into the wooded area, into the forest, and then I remember it was hard to keep up, and then I finally like found where they were, and they and all their friends, they had a big mudslide going down the mountain, like phew, like huge. I mean, at least it was to me at the time. I was too scared to do it because it's too big. Um, or they must have told me I shouldn't or something. I didn't do it. I don't think. But I remember seeing that. Oh, we had this bow and arrow. We had a bow and arrow, and I remember mom. She was standing up by the house, and I somehow got a hold of it. I was on the far side of the yard, and it wasn't really a yard; it was a dirt yard. Which literally I remember it would rain, and there would be mud holes, and we just go out there and waller around in the mud holes. Like pigs or something. But yeah, and mom's up by the house doing something like pulling weeds or something. And I remember I got a hold of the bow and arrow, and I just looked, and I don't know why. And I wasn't like trying to aim it at her, I don't think. I don't think. But I just grabbed it and I just pulled it back and went straight up. I went, and then goes landed right next to mom. So I'm thankful that didn't hurt her or anything. Um, yeah, so and then okay, so I remember in uh what is it called? Okay, so we went to a church called Grace Chapel. Um and I don't remember a whole lot from there. We were regular attenders. What I do remember is um not it wasn't Cornish Christmas. It was a harvest festival during like to replace Halloween. Um it was something at our church that was like in something like that where people would like maybe dress up. I don't really remember, but I remember going for that, and that was really cool. Then I remember my first haircut was a mohawk, and yeah, my sister and mom gave me a mohawk, and I had a big mohawk way up to here, spiked up, and this is actually pretty significant. Because I remember going into the church and like people like loving it at first, but then I went to children's church, and I remember a girl there, and it was like her dad. Um, they started questioning me about my mohawk. They're like, "Oh, do you think you're cool because you have a mohawk and stuff?" And I remember it like made me feel like really um insecure, and like I shouldn't have a mohawk or something. Like it was wrong to have a mohawk in church or something like that. And basically, I've come to realize that that's why I never liked going to children's church. Um, because when I remember when at the next church in Iowa, Calvary Baptist Church in Muscatine, the one time that I tried going into children's church, I freaked out, and my mom had to give me like this whole pack of mints just to like sit through it. And I sat there and I ate the mints in there, and I remember I asked a kid if he wanted some, but he said no too. So that made me feel like I was doing something wrong in there. And then so I just ate all the mints really quick, and then I was like, I gotta go. So I left, and like I cried. Like I just didn't like it. I hated it because of the way that girl and her dad made me feel at the one time with the Mohawks. So, anyways, back to California. Um, that's let's see, anything else important? I remember playing Pogs at the house with the Wills up the mountain at their house. I watched Power Rangers, I remember, and I think I got in trouble by my mom for watching Power Rangers. But yeah. And then I do remember Christmas. Um One of them in our front room at our house, like where the Christmas tree was, right by the entryway. Opening presents once. I remember Grandma and Grandpa Ketelsen being out there for sure, and we had a like Christmas meal or a Thanksgiving meal or something. And I remember this because Grandma Janet always talked about it, and she's like, "Oh, there was David. Lo and behold, David, he sat at the dinner table all night long, even and because and all the other kids. I think it was Christmas because they wouldn't open presents, and we never opened presents until we were done eating, and then the parents did the dishes, and we'd always have to wait. And there sat David, lo and behold, he'd be like, more tomatoes, more potatoes. That's what Grandma would always say. That sounds about right. I love tomatoes and potatoes. So um yeah, so that uh was a memory from California. So, and then I remember, oh yeah, so when we were about to move to Iowa, my parents moving back to Iowa, because my parents are from Durant, Iowa, Durant and Wilton, Iowa. That's where they met. That's where they got married, and then they moved to California. Uh, I'll let them tell you their story of why they moved out. They have testimonies too, but then I'll let mom tell that. I'm sure she'll be the one to tell that, and hopefully dad too. Um, but when we moved back to Iowa, we'll say, uh, I remember it was my birthday, and because of how they would move back, they had to get my older siblings. They were going to meet my, I think, grandparents in Wyoming. Um, with my older siblings and my little sister Jasmine, because she was just like a baby still. Um, and there wasn't enough room in the vehicle to for me to go. So I stayed back um, for the while they went to meet my grandparents to get my older siblings back to Iowa so they could start school on time, which makes sense because it was my birthday, August 17th, when they left. So I spent my birthday, and I remember I was really sad. Um, but they left me. I stayed with our friends, the Coxes. All I remember is Christina Cox. I can't remember the rest of their names. Because I walked into the bathroom and she was naked, and I was like so scared. Then I walked into the bathroom and I was just like stunned. And she was like a couple of years older than me, but I was just like, oh my gosh. And it was really awkward then the rest of the time. And I remember trying to sleep at night, and I was just like, I thought my parents left me. I didn't think they're ever gonna come back or something. So I was super sad about it. And but yeah, that was my birthday weekend. So yeah. But they came back and got me. No, as well. So then when I made it to Iowa, I remember the first thing it said up on, I saw Casey's General Store, and that's a gas station. And I saw 99 cents, 99. And that was the price of gas at the time. Um, and so at that, I think I had just turned 5 then. That, I had just turned 5 when we moved back, I believe. Or 4. 4 or 5. I think 5. Yeah. And so when we got back, I remember dad and the older siblings stayed at grandma and grandpa's because they didn't have we didn't have a house right away. And dad stayed at grandma and grandpa's with the older, and then me and mom and probably Jasmine, we stayed at my aunt Janine's right up the street, in her basement, which I loved because she always had all the cool toys. She had a bunch of cool toys. And I don't even know if her kids, Casey and Cheyenne, were alive yet, but she always had the coolest toys. But so we stayed there for a little while, and then we got a house, rented a house. Our family did right outside of Durant, um, out on Speed Road, out by my grandparents' house. Um, and I believe that I believe well, I don't know for sure, but I believe that that's where I may have had my first kiss. Um, if I didn't with any girls in California, I can't remember, but for sure with Brittany Franz, or not Brittany Franzen, Kelsey Franzen. Out on the farm. My mom would babysit her, And yeah, she was kind of like, she was a little older than me, and she kind of just like made me her little slave and would be like, go here, go there, do this. And I'd be like, okay, okay. So yeah, and yeah, I know I kissed her out behind the barn. And then, let's see. So then, no, not Brittany Bronson Kelsey. Oh my gosh. And that's funny. So, what else? Um, so then, I remember we got snowed in out there. And we were snowed in for like a couple days. Like this, it was like 4 or 5 like feet of snow. It was like this and super cold, super negative weather in Iowa. Um, and then while we were living there during the summer, I remember like a barn burning down. I don't know if like my brothers and sisters had anything to do with that or what, but that happened. Um, and so that happened. I have a bunch of good memories down the street at my grandma and grandpa's. We had a bunch of family reunions, all sorts of stuff out there. We had all our family gatherings out there. Um, it's where I learned to ride horses. I remember I hopped out on AJ once, and I was sitting on him, or no, I got up on him, and Mom had 2 horses tied up, and I just got on him, and I just was like, oh, I'm gonna go ride him, and I took him, and I started going out to the field, and I was riding, and I was trotting pretty good, and but then from the side field, the side pasture, up came running Dude. Dude was the name of the lead donkey, or not donkey, the pony that all the little horses, the ponies that came from the side pasture, and he comes running a blazing up to the fence, up to like see what we were doing with the rest of the ponies, and it scared AJ, the big horse, and he started bucking, bucked me off, and yeah, and I ate it, and I got hurt, and it knocked the wind out of me really bad. I remember I was crying, super sad. um, but yeah, Mom, I learned my lesson. You don't just hop on a horse without knowing what you're doing. Um, and I just loved it. We would have Royal Rumbles out in the yard, in all the cousins, and I was like I was at the age in between. No one was really my age. They were all either at least 3 or 4 years older than me, and then 3 or 4 years younger. And so I would always hang out with the older kids, and I remember Kevin and Morgan just pile driving and suplexing me out in the yard, owning my ass, and yeah, that was pretty fun though. I mean, and my brothers, so that was always fun. Yeah, what else do we got? So then our family, we ended up moving into town, into Durant, and that's when, like, right when I started kindergarten. And yeah, this would probably be a good story to end this first little intro of my life too. Uh, yeah, with kindergarten. So we had a house in Durant. It was nice. Same thing. Always hanging out with my older brothers and their friends, running the streets of Durant, because Durant's like a town of like less than 3,000 people, so it was safe. And or so it seemed. And yeah, so I was always just like following them around, and we had a trampoline, and so I learned to jump on a trampoline, learned to do flips and stuff at a really young age, and that was always fun. And yeah, and um, oh wow. So I remember this one time hanging out with my brother and his friends. This gets a little graphic, but my older brothers, and we had some other brothers there. There was like three of them too, and then and then three more brothers: Travis, Brace, Cody White, and Jordan Vastine. Yeah, so there's like nine of us, I think, and we all were like playing this like imaginary like cops and robbers or something like game like that, and we all like had either like a fake gun or a weapon of some sort. And I remember it came down to me and Corey. Oh, what's his name? I forget. But we were the two youngest with the last two weapons. And there was this sword. It was Aladdin sword. It was like a big, like, you know, saber, whatever. And then a hockey stick. And I remember because I was the very youngest, I got the last pick. But I wanted the Aladdin sword. And Corey got it, and I don't know what happened, but I freaked out, and I grabbed that hockey stick, and I like beat him with it. I knocked him down, and I just bam, bam, like in this fierce rage. I was just like a little boy in kindergarten, so like I don't really know where that came from or what that was about. But just thinking about that, it's kind of disturbing that I did that. So that's not the story I wanted to end on, but that's just like, that's something that happened. So the last story, this is kindergarten. I was really good friends with Leah Clark. Um, and I remember we were in the lunchroom, and at Durant, it's K through 12. So like the lunch periods, like you would see high schoolers in the lunchroom and stuff. I remember seeing my oldest brother Chad and his friends like Travis Brace and Donnie Trana, um, in the lunch line, and I think someone flipped each other. Travis and Donnie flipped each other off. So I remember I looked at Leah and I like turned to her and I was like, Leah. And she got right up and went and told Miss Sheely, or not Miss Sheely, yeah, Miss Sheely and Sheila, the assistant, Sheely and Sheila, and on me. And so I had to go to the principal's office in kindergarten. And I was like crying. I was always crying, I guess. I was a big baby, I guess. And so Leah told on me, and I remember I was so appalled. I couldn't believe she told on me because I loved Leah Clark. Leah Clark was my first kiss in the ton. She was not my first kiss, but she was my first like school kiss in the tunnel in the playground. We kissed in the tunnel, and I just couldn't believe it. I was so heartbroken. And I remember I went home. I got sent home that day. My parents brought me home, and I don't remember this, but this is what my mom told me. She's like, you know what you said? And I remember like, because I knew it was wrong what they were doing. Like, so this was me already like figuring out how to cover for myself. And, but I do believe that this was inside me too. And like I really don't know if it, like, something tells me I was trying to cover for myself, but something tells me that this is how I truly felt too. But my mom's like, you know what you said when we asked you why you did it? And I was like, what? She's like, you said that you just thought that you meant I love you. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like me, you know? That really does sound like me, like, cause I loved Leah. I was in love with her. And so yeah, uh that was that. And here really quick before I'd run out of time. Then a couple weeks later, I remember jumping off the tunnel down to the rocks at the bottom a couple weeks later and landing on Leah Clark and smashing her because she was a really little petite girl, like itty bitty, and I was like a big, stocky, husky kid. So yeah, it all went together. But anyways, still love you, Leah. Hope you're okay. Hope I didn't hurt your feelings too bad with that middle finger. Anyways, that's it for today. I love you all. Thank you, anybody who's watching. I love you, baby, so much.